Welcome to the Transfer Academic Advising Prep presentation. We're so excited that you chose EIU. Here at Eastern, you'll be partnered with an assigned professional advisor or faculty advisor towards your degree completion. You'll meet with us at least one time per semester so that you can get registered for the following semester. We'll have access to what's called a registration PIN number. So you'll need that PIN number in order to register for your classes, which is why it is, or one of the reasons actually why it is mandatory. This is an example of a net ID and password you'll see highlighted in this screenshot. And this is what we call My EIU. So you'll have access to this and that during the orientation process. Once you finish your orientation process, you will no longer need to utilize My EIU. Now your net ID will stay constant throughout your time here at Eastern, but your initial password that you receive, you will eventually be required to change that. And you'll need this net ID and password to access different technological tools here at Eastern, such as your Panther Mail, PAWS, and much more. So we'll want to be sure that that's up and working by the time you meet with us. Here on EIU's homepage, the arrow indicates the area where you can access these different tools that I mentioned a little bit ago. You'll see Panther Mail at the top right corner. Once you log into Panther Mail, it'll take you to where you can log into Microsoft 365. And on the left, you'll see a blue envelope titled Outlook. That is what we use for your Panther Mail. You can also download the Outlook app so that you can receive your emails as if you're receiving a text message. So that'll be handy. You'll see PAWS up here as well, and I'll get a little bit more into PAWS within the next few slides. You can also access what we call D2L, and there's your My EIU. So when you log into PAWS, you'll be taken to this screen, and you'll see an example here where you get to enter in your credentials. And so you'll want to be sure that you can test this out. That way, when you meet with us for your advising appointment, we can ensure that this is working properly, because we will need PAWS in order to register for your classes. You can also check your financial aid information through PAWS and much more. Now let's talk about your path to graduation. I know that's a goal that we all have. So as a transfer student, much of this may be somewhat of a review for you. Here in the equal sign, we see 120 credit hours. That's our goal in order to graduate. That's the minimum requirement, actually. So, in a perfect scenario, if you're taking 15 credit hours for 8 semesters, which is equivalent to 4 years, you'll hit that 120 graduation requirement. Now, of course, you may be able to do this 15 credit hours every semester, or maybe a little more, or maybe a little less. Maybe you want to be at that bare minimum to be considered a full-time student, which is 12. The main goal is that we want to be sure you're going at a pace that's most comfortable for you. The classes you'll take will consist of general education courses, which typically make up about 40 semester hours or credit hours. Now, this will obviously depend on what credits you have transferring into EIU from the different institutions you've attended. So we'll keep this in mind. But ultimately, this takes up your major courses make up this 120 credit hour completion requirement. Your minor, if you choose to have one, elective credits, which don't count towards your major nor your gen ed requirements. So maybe there are some classes you want to explore. All of this will make up the total courses you take towards your degree completion. And on the bottom, you'll see that high school requirement for foreign language. And so you want to be sure to, in addition to having credits transferred from the college you've attended or university you've attended, you'll also want to make sure you have your high school transcript sent over to Eastern. And this would all go through our registrar office so it can get processed. And that way we'll be able to advise you based on what you have transferred in. Now, specifically, we want to get into EIU graduation requirements. So on the first bullet here, I've mentioned gen eds, but we also have what's called a senior seminar you'll be required to take. And this is an upper level class, which you will begin starting somewhere in your junior year. Again, academic major and minor requirements we'll talk about in our advising appointment. And the next few bullet points that indicate the different semester hour requirements, upper level division, you'll talk about those with your academic advisor. I hit on the 120 minimum graduation requirement in foreign language. Now on that second to last bullet point where you'll see a C or better will be needed in both English 1 and 2, as well as speech, unless you've got that already transferring in. So we'll need a C or better in those courses. If not, we'll have to keep retaking those courses until we complete it with the C or better. Another requirement you'll have is what we call the Electronic Writing Portfolio, or EWP, what we call it for short. And these are 2 essays that you would complete here at Eastern in the semester that you would be currently enrolled in. You wouldn't be able to go back and use past papers you completed at previous institutions, nor previous semesters at Eastern. They must be in the current semester that you're in. And we always encourage you, once you receive a graded essay back from an instructor or professor, you could ask them if you could use that for your EWP. And we can talk more about that during your advising appointment. But these are EIU graduation requirements specific to the university here. Another tool you can access is the online EIU catalog. Now, this is an example of the catalog from 2022 through 2023, that academic year. So, for example, if you're going to be starting in the fall of 2024 as a student at Eastern, you'll want to be sure that you're accessing the catalog for 2024 through 2025 and so forth. So, but this is typically updated on EIU's website. But what you'll see, these arrows are indicating different topics that will be of interest for you. For example, academic regulations, course descriptions, major and minors. You can access all of this information within the catalog. Your catalog is like the guide towards your success here, understanding the regulations and what's expected of the student and what the university has as far as its regulations. This is a slide indicating frequently asked questions. And so for the sake of time, I won't get into these, but we do have a QR code here embedded if you want to access that, where you can find the answer to these questions. So that'll be helpful for you as you begin your college journey here at Eastern. And some things we'll discuss in our advising appointments. We want to consider your academic plan and course load. So what are you comfortable enrolling in per semester? What does your major require, and do you have room for a minor? What you'll have transferring in, and what does that meet? Does it help meet gen ed requirements or major requirements or electives? What does your degree progress look like, or how do you access your degree audit? Because your degree audit is another tool that you can access within your PAWS account. And then finally, what is your academic class standing? Are you a sophomore, junior? What does it take to be at that certain class standing? Those are some things that we'll address in our appointment. And of course, if you have more questions that aren't on this slide here, feel free to come with those. This is a general transfer checklist. So this is how it all works. You can watch out for an email from your academic advisor within your Outlook or Panther Mail. Then next, you'll schedule your advising appointment and prepare for that. And I'll get into how you can prepare for that in the next slide. You'll then select classes and register through PAWS with your academic advisor. And so this is why we'll want to make sure your NetID and passwords are working properly so that when you meet with us, we won't run into hiccups. Next, you'll want to pick up your textbooks before classes start. Then you'll want to check D2L daily when classes start. And so not every class will use D2L, but typically a lot of them do use them. This is where they post grades or assignments that you'll want to complete. So you'll want to be up to speed on that. And then finally, you'll want to check the academic calendar for dates and deadlines. And here's a link to access that. But if you have questions about it, we could also go over that with you in our advising appointment. And these are just some things to keep in mind as you prepare for your advising appointment, whether if it be in person or even if it's through Zoom or Google Meets or Teams. So you'll want to make sure you test your technology ahead of time, if you're meeting virtually with your advisor. So this will help through the advising process. You'll want to be in a quiet space with no distractions. And so we prefer to just be you so that you could meet with us in a nice space that's not causing you to lose focus in our appointment. We highly prefer a computer or laptop. This would be more stationary, but also when we register you for class, it's going to be more compatible with the computer or laptop. We want you to be on time. We want to be able to have enough time so that we can answer your questions and we can share information that we want to share with you. And we want you to have your camera on because we want to see your face. We want to see who we're advising, who we're working with. We may run into you on campus, and it'll help us a lot if we know who you are. And we want you to be prepared to share screens. Now, you don't have to be an expert with these tools, but we can walk you through the process. But the main point is that we want you to be somewhat prepared so that we can run into less hiccups whenever we do meet. And then on the right side, we want you to review your major guide. If you're familiar with what you want your major to be, you can do the research through the majors and minors on Eastern's website, and you can be prepared to talk about those in our appointment. Now, depending on who your advisor is, some advisors may send you materials before your actual appointment. So you'll want to look through those materials before meeting with your advisor in case you have any questions. And you want to make sure you can log in to your Panther Mail, Pause, etc. And that way, when we meet, we can just access those and register for classes. And if you do have any questions or any challenges regarding technology, your password, anything like that, you can contact the Technology Help Desk at 217-581-4357. Again, we're so glad that you chose EIU.